didn't really want to, we're not making a live action film. We don't want to go there. Our goal has been always to make these cinematic, rich stories. Whether it's a emotionally low scene and getting darker or an expressive, positive moment, it'll be brighter. The tool sets that we've gained throughout the years, all the different films we've worked on, from camera improvements and lenses, cinematic effects, bokeh, in this case going to widescreen, kind of helps us fit into more of a cinematic kind of format. It's a lot like regular movie making in the way that there's cheats left and right to get that story, to kind of get the emotion, get the moment to work. And so we try to employ all the tools we can.
Well, we're not doing that.
Some of the other Pixar films like Inside Out or The Incredibles, we stylize those a lot more, and that's the world we want to tell those stories in. What we're trying to do with the Toy Story films is make believable environments and worlds that kids who go to see the movies or parents who are remembering when they were kids kind of thing can really feel like this was their world.
Roger that.
We've never actually thought about it differently than a movie. Even Toy Story 1, we always think about it as a motion picture. It's animated, but we have this, I don't know if it's a problem or a blessing that we've blurred that line. So we've always leaned into the fact that it's an animated movie with caricatured shapes and light and textures, but there's a realism and a believability to it. And I think we've tried to balance the same ingredients from Toy Story 1 and 2 and 3, but get a little more closer, a little more fidelity. The aspect ratio is wider.
We're getting really close to the toys, where you can see microscopic scratches and Bo's reflection and everything. And knowing that we were going to have this personal element of the relationship between Bo and Woody up close, we wanted to be able to get really close to them and see how all the acting on their face. And so that was one of the things that being able to do all this detail was really helpful. The camera can do amazing things now, where we can make, blur out the background and make it feel like a real live action camera, because that's essentially what it is in the computer. And then also just adding detail to the antique store, we can kind of do anything, or figure out a way to make it appear that we're doing anything.
Canada's greatest stuff.
Our job is to support character and support the story. We try to create an authentic environment that will support that idea. At the same time, we don't want audience to start looking at all the detail we add in the background, because that's not where they're supposed to look at. The character is still the main focus point. The detail, yes, is there, but we try to make it believable for audience. They can feel like, oh, they are watching a Toy Story film.
There's plenty of kids out there. Sometimes change can be good.
In the Toy Story world, we can celebrate limitations, right? Toys, a lot of them only have so many joints or can only move a certain way, and we celebrate that. And in Bo, we celebrated what we could or couldn't do with her. So we tried to keep her more minimal. We didn't want her too human, but we had to have her complex enough, especially with her facial features and stuff, so you could read all that was happening.
We had to make sure that you could always read her expressions and she could get from point A to point B. Given those limitations, how do we then pull it back? How do we infuse some of the porcelain quality back in, but letting the acting go, drive the conversation? From an animator's perspective, it's counterintuitive, because we want to make things pliable and fleshy and exaggerate the movements. But for Bo, it was exactly the opposite.
You're Bonnie's toy. You are going to help.
I think that's fun in this movie is that sort of introduction. We have all the store-bought toys, but here's one that's pure. He's just learning about the world. And he gets to express himself in that way. So it seems very honest and true in that sense.
And Forky in Toy Story 4 starts off not knowing anything about the world, and by the end of the Toy Story 4, he knows a little bit. He hasn't learned everything. And that's what we were doing in Toy Story 1, to follow your analogy, because we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know, how to do lots of different things. We had to figure those things out during the course of making that film.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Our kids play with iPads and screens, but at the same time, my kids still play with toys. Yesterday I came home and they were playing with toys in their bedroom. We see kids playing with Woody and Buzz in the airport. I don't think it's completely gone. I think that there is still an element of having that tactile thing that you can hold close and is always there for you. I think that's still there.
Life's only worth living if you're being loved by a kid.
I don't see toys leaving. I think there is a fun and cool aspect of these the technology, but there is really nothing like creative active play with a toy, and it's very physical and it's real, and I think that'll never go.
Woody, I have a question. Well, actually, not just one. I have all the questions.
I think about Bo Peep in this movie. I think we've really created a Bo Peep it's a cool kind of aspirational character for us and for our daughters. You know, she's independent and she's smart and witty and has found a way to survive and thrive out in the world without a kid. Right. So I think there's a lot of things that people can take away from this movie going forward, and that it really just builds on what we've had.
Beauty in general, when we look at toys or we look at figurines or we look at humans, it's nice for, long ago beauty was seen as an external thing, right? This beautiful doll on display. And our hope is that you can see Bo now, and she's beautiful because she's comfortable in her skin. She's beautiful because she knows who she is. She's beautiful because she's independent, and she's become so much more than just a porcelain doll on a shelf. And even though she's crafted very well for our film, she's built well, she never referenced herself as a beautiful model. I mean, she's very appealing. The Bo in our film is very appealing, but she never holds herself that way, that's all she is. It's just an appealing figure. Her confidence is what's wonderful.
Oh, where did you two come from?
We hope this movie really is for anybody at any age, and I kind of feel that way about all the Toy Story films. We kind of make them to play in a way that kids can connect to, that adults can connect to, that my grandparents could connect to, and I think this one's no different in that way. We put a lot of care and attention into the development of these characters, and we hope that there is a human nature and a realness to what they're going through, to their struggles, that people are going to be able to connect to, kind of no matter what their age.
We have animators who, like us, grew up with these characters, and now that maybe they're newer to the studio, or they've worked on a Toy Story film for the first time. I mean, they'll literally open up their shots and they'll have this moment of like, oh my gosh, I'm animating Woody or Buzz or Bo. There's something there. There's a sentiment. There's a nostalgia that's attached to Toy Story. So the opportunity now to have another film and to be in this world, it's really fun to see people how they react to that, including ourselves.
Woody'll save me. I've known that guy my whole life. 2 days.
Is that how we look on the inside? There's so much fluff.
We have to find him, Mom.